I have several lessons learned from the American experience with Green Button. And the standard was developed under the Obama administration in order to facilitate the sharing of energy usage data. But we've had several problems that have arisen in the implementation process. And there's several lessons learned that are avoidable and preventable. And those include, number one, that the user experience can be really poor. So an incumbent provider has no incentive to make it easy for you to switch or to export your data to another service provider. So we've had to develop some pretty stringent user experience guidelines around, can it be accomplished on a mobile device? How many clicks of the user does it take to complete, and so on. And we've also had to address privacy issues. And it's too tempting to say, oh, we couldn't possibly share usage data with anyone else because there might someday be a privacy breach. And that's an excuse that gets trotted out by many in the US. And what we've been able to convince people is that, in fact, you can have a pro-privacy stance as well as a pro-customer choice stance. I think there's a lot of potential, and I'm very excited by the focus around competition policy. In the States, the focus is just around energy and energy efficiency, and there isn't sort of a broader conversation about energy or data being used in the economy for things like the banking sector or in telecommunications. So I think that framing is exactly the right one, that customers have the right to transfer their own information to whichever provider might help them, be it a new service provider like in banking or even just a shopping and comparison website. So I think those are the immediate uses, but many of the uses we'll have to see in the future what eventually comes out. And I think part of my goal has been to set the parameters, the market environment, rather than prescribing a particular outcome or my hypothesizing about what a great business model would be. Let's let the market figure it out, but we need to establish some ground rules before those companies even have a shot at being successful. Personally, I have been really encouraged by the caliber of discussion and thought, particularly amongst those serving in government. We don't get the same high quality discussions in the States about data rights and privacy and ownership topics. So in particular, I'm really interested in the developments around informed consent, and that the government will be doing some user testing and evaluation to see how customers are in different environments, whether it's online or on mobile devices, granting their consent, and then evaluating whether they could get through the process, whether they understood what they were doing. That's exactly the type of objective analysis that I think we need to conduct in the US. Yeah, I liked Lauren Solomon's presentation about some of the customer protection issues. Legally, it's a very different environment here that I need to have a better understanding of. But it's also fascinating to see. I believe it was Bruce. I'm blanking on his last name.
Bruce Cooper.
Yeah, sorry. It was Bruce Cooper from the ACCC speaking about some of the details around how the consent process works for consumers and the focus on the customer experience. And it's fantastic to see that type of detail being thought through now, because that's exactly where we experienced some stumbling blocks 2 years ago.